All right, welcome everyone. Let's talk about writing homework. If you've ever found yourself in that classic standoff with your kid over a writing assignment, you already know it can be one of the most challenging parts of being a parent. It's such a common struggle, right? But what if I told you there's a way to change that whole dynamic? I mean, completely.
Does this scene sound familiar? It's homework time, you're at the kitchen table, and there's that blank page just staring back at you. The frustration starts to build, right? Your child feels totally stuck, you're feeling helpless, and before you know it, what was supposed to be a simple learning moment has turned into a full-blown battle. It is absolutely exhausting.
Well, here's the good news. You are so not alone in feeling this way. And even better, there are some really simple but super powerful tools that you can use to turn those moments around, from total conflict to actual collaboration. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to walk through them together.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to tackle 4 of the biggest writing hurdles out there. First, how to beat that scary blank page. Then, how to organize all those ideas so they actually make sense. After that, we'll get into making writing exciting, not boring. And finally, the big one. Yep, how to edit their work without it turning into a huge fight. Okay, problem number 1, the blank page panic. You know the sound? That dreaded, I don't know what to write. For so many kids, that empty screen is just terrifying. The pressure to get it right from the very first word can be completely paralyzing. So what's the solution? How do we fix this? It's simple. We take away the pressure. And we do that with a little technique called a brain dump. Look, the goal here is not to write a perfect first draft, not even close. The goal is just to get anything and everything they're thinking about the topic out of their head and onto that page. And here's how it works. It's so easy. First, you set a timer. That's it. Nothing crazy, just 15, maybe 20 minutes. Then, and this is the best part, you tell them to make a mess. Seriously, write down everything. Bullet points, single words, crazy sentences. It doesn't matter. There are no rules here. No worrying about spelling or grammar. You're just getting that raw material down, you know? It's like giving an artist a block of clay to work with. You gotta have the clay before you can make the sculpture. All right, on to problem number 2, the jumbled ideas mess. We've all heard this one. My thoughts are all over the place. So the brain dump worked, which is awesome. You have all these ideas on the page. But now it's a bit of a chaotic mess, right? The next job is to help them organize all that good stuff into something that a reader can actually follow. And for this, we have a secret weapon for clarity. It's called the 1-point rule, and it is so simple but so effective. Here it is. 1 paragraph gets 1 single point. That's it. No more, no less. Just 1 main idea per paragraph. This one little rule stops their writing from turning into a big, confusing mush of ideas. Just look at the difference here. A messy paragraph, it's kind of like spam, you know? Just a bunch of different things all mushed together. It's not very appetizing and it's really hard to digest. But a clear paragraph? That's focused. It has 1 main point, 1 clear flavor. The reader knows exactly what you're trying to say, and then they're ready for the next idea. And a really great way to teach this 1-point rule is with the hamburger paragraph. Kids love this. Okay, so the top bun, that's your main point, your topic sentence. Then you've got all the good stuff in the middle, the fillings. That's your evidence, your examples, all those juicy details. And finally, the bottom bun wraps it all up and gets you ready for the next the next paragraph. It's a super kid-friendly, visual way to build a really solid piece of writing. So we're making progress. The ideas are on the page, they're organized. But now we hit problem number 3, the it's boring blues. Your child looks at their work and just says, this is boring. How do I make it more interesting? It might be perfectly correct, but it just lacks that spark. So how do we help them make their writing come alive? Oh, I just love this quote. It absolutely nails it. The point of fiction is to cast a spell. Fiction engages the senses. See, great writing isn't just about listing facts. It's about creating a whole experience for the reader. The real goal is to pull them into the story, to make them feel like they're right there. And you do that by engaging their senses. And here's a perfect example of what that means. On the left, you've got, Billy feels nauseated and weak. Okay, we get it, but we don't feel it, do we? Now look at the right. Billy's legs are noodles, her tongue is a bristly sponge. Wow, now you're right there with Billy, feeling how awful she feels. That is the incredible power of using sensory details. So here's a super simple checklist you can use with your child. Whenever they're describing a scene, just have them pause and go through the 5 senses. Ask them, okay, what does the character see right now? What can they hear? Is there a particular smell? Even just adding 1 or 2 of these little details can take a totally boring sentence and turn it into something unforgettable. And now we've arrived at what might be the trickiest part of this whole process. Problem number 4, the editing standoff. How do you give feedback without starting a fight? You see the mistakes, right? But the second you point one out, your kid gets all defensive, or worse, totally discouraged. This is where we have to make a huge shift in our mindset, from being a critic to being a coach. The secret here is to break editing into 2 totally separate stages. Think of it like building a house. Stage 1 is the content edit. This is where you check the foundation in the walls, the big picture. Does the story make sense? Is the argument clear? You completely ignore the little stuff, like spelling and grammar, for now. Only after the big stuff is solid do you move to stage 2, the technical edit. That's when you go in and paint the rooms and fix the leaky faucets, the spelling, the grammar, the punctuation. And to make this whole process way less painful, here are a few tips for giving gentle feedback. First, read the writing out loud together. You'll be amazed at how many awkward sentences you both catch. Second, ask questions instead of just correcting. Say something like, hey, what did you mean right here? It's way more collaborative. And always start by pointing out what's working well. Build them up first. And please remember, for them and for you, the goal here is progress, not perfection. And that's really the whole point of all of this, isn't it? It's about making this one huge shift. When you use these tools, you change your role. You stop being the corrector, the person with the red pen who just points out mistakes. And instead, you become a collaborator. You become their writing partner. You're on their team. So let's do a super quick recap of your new writing toolkit. To beat that blank page, you've got the brain dump. To organize messy ideas, build a hamburger paragraph. To make writing exciting, do a 5 senses check. And to edit without a battle, use the 2-stage edit. See? 4 simple strategies that are honestly going to make a world of difference.
Now, of course, the journey doesn't have to stop here. If you're thinking, this is great, I want more, if you're looking for even more strategies, activities, and awesome support for your young writer, I really recommend you check out www.learningwithmrfeliu.com. So, are you ready to become your child's best writing partner? Because the next time a writing assignment comes home, you don't have to dread it, not anymore. You have a plan now. You'll be ready to guide them, to support them, and hey, maybe even have a little bit of fun creating something together. You can do this. You've totally got this.